Hello, and welcome to another episode of Ask Adam Live. Ask Adam Live is an acronym for Always Seek Knowledge. One of the things I've found in life is to always ask questions, even if it's something you really didn't think you wanted to know. I always found asking questions at least let me know something I might enjoy or enlighten me to things I might not appreciate. But I always sought to find out more just about everything. And I found this to be most beneficial going through life, which is why I think I found it resonated most with me, and I hope it does with you, that we should always be asking, always seeking knowledge, always understanding a little bit more about things, how things work, learning more about people, maybe even understanding a concept or a point of view. Always seek knowledge. Thank you for joining us in this particular episode. This episode is entitled Accelerate Your Growth, Mind, Body, and Soul. My name is Adam. Let's get on with the show. In this episode, we're going to give you a holistic, actionable framework to ignite rapid growth in every dimension of your life: mental, physical, and spiritual. This is anchored mostly in my real world stories, as well as my knowledge and understanding of being a certified neuroencoding specialist. Much of this is understanding our mind, understanding how our mind works, and how we can change and adapt things to create how our mind processes things much better. We can get into that in other episodes and in my workshops, as well as in my own practice. But in today's episode, we're going to look into when your mind, body, and soul fire in harmony, growth stops crawling and starts rocketing. So, welcome to the episode. My hope today is that by the end, you'll have my GROW method: 4 habits that sync mind, body, and soul for exponential progress. You know, I want to give a shout out to one of my clients who was a mid career individual, high achiever, and they were seeking reinvention. They had a situation where they were in a job for quite some time and all of a sudden kind of had to pivot, kind of had to do something different, and didn't really know how to handle that because what they were already doing was kind of their life. So, trying to help them adjust to a new way of thinking, to not be intimidated by growth, by letting any one of the toxic 10 seep in and try to harm that growth, it's quite challenging. But let me share with you a little bit of what we learned, what they learned, and how they were able to grow. One of the mental leaps is self doubt. And as you may have heard in my keynote speech, was much of my experience of self doubt was that I just couldn't really get to where I wanted to be. And it wasn't that I didn't have the skills, it wasn't that my skills weren't being practiced properly. Another thing was my physical leap. You know, I struggled for a while with weight and was frustrated that no matter what I did, no matter how healthy I ate, no matter how much I walked around the park, which by the way was right up there with journaling and kind of going through a little bit of my frustrations in life and just trying to figure things out. Well, I still couldn't lose the weight, but much of that was because I didn't see myself losing the weight. But once I saw myself losing the weight, and I began to practice a little bit more of specific physical activity and not just walking for stress sake, but walking for health sake, and walking each time seeing the vision of losing the weight. Man, I shed 30 pounds like nobody's business. And quite frankly, it helped me feel much better. It was this small habit with stacking that allowed me to do this. Even in the process through daily gratitude, I also found that spiritual leap. And this seemed to really transform a lot of my conversations. So, what can we take away from this? Growth compounds only when all three pillars advance together. When we're mentally, physically, and spiritually open to grow, to change, to adapt, to adjust. Here's why holistic acceleration works. People who pair exercise and mindfulness boost cognitive speed by 20%. The energy triangle of thoughts fuel actions, actions fuel spirit, and spirit refuels thoughts. This is what occurred. This is where the change takes place. This is where life begins to happen for us, not to us. When we align all three arenas, we ride the current and not fight it. Salmon swim upstream so they can spawn. Here's a sad fact is once they swim upstream and they spawn, they die. It's like their mission is over. Well, you don't want to do that. You don't want to fight and just pass. You want to move forward. So how do we do that? We grow. How do we grow? Well, as you are already excited because I have an acronym for grow. Yes, I am a huge fan of acronyms. So the grow method, G is gain clarity. This is your mind. Having clarity in your mind and understanding maybe a little bit of what belief is slowing you down. Not self-doubt, not part of the toxic 10, but what belief do you have that's slowing you down? What is it that you think you cannot propel forward? I offer to my clients basically the flip belief worksheet, which helps me rewrite their limiting belief story into an empowering belief. I will have that attached. The flip worksheet will be attached to this video for those that would like to work on it. And if you need any help with that, certainly let me know and we can go through it. I think it's kind of self-explanatory, but the flip worksheet I found is most helpful for many of my clients, where you can at least start with rewriting one limiting belief story to an empowering belief realization. And once you do it with one, you can do it with two and with three. And like everything else, you do it enough times, becomes habitual, and you don't think about it again. R is recharge daily. This is mainly focused on your body. How will you energize your engine? I like the 20-20-20 rule is the routine that I most use, which is move, hydrate, and stretch. I like to move. I mean, like really move, focused move for 20 good minutes. And I mean intense moving, like cardiovascular workout move. I actually subscribe to a channel on YouTube, and their exercise is about 15 to 20-minute segments. Three lovely gals. They play some kind of hip happening music, and I just move around intensely, dancing with them. They're called the Empower Group, and they're kind of fun and exciting. The link will be attached to this video as well. But I do that for 20 minutes. Then I hydrate for 20 minutes. Some of that hydration is just kind of getting back into my space, getting back relaxed. I'm also a big fan of yoga, and I'll spend a good 20 minutes of stretching and making sure that I'm limber and not cramped. In fact, I encourage you, if you're not driving and listening to this podcast, do one 60-second burst of movement right now. Now, see how that felt? See the difference in your previous state to your state now? How would you like to be that throughout the day to handle your task? These are the recharging things. And again, once you do it once, you do it twice, you do it for 21 to 65 days, it becomes a habit. Then you don't think about it anymore. In fact, you almost thrive on wanting to do it. You almost thrive on the opportunity to do it. You start getting creative that when you're not always in your space, how can I do it when I'm waiting for someone? How can I do it when I'm at the park? How can I do it if I have a 15-minute break somewhere? Can I go to a stairwell? Can I go down the hall? Where can I go to do this? Because it's part of my routine and I have to do it. Just as natural as, say, going to the bathroom. You're going to find that these 20-minute increments are going to be a pivotal part of your day. So recharge daily. O is open the heart. Opening the heart, I found, is pretty profound. And that's your soul, quite frankly. Where can I add gratitude or service? Where can you? This is feeding your soul. Again, I start my day with 3 points of gratitude. I also like to stack them sometimes in the evening with 3 more. The key is to do it a little bit different and not just have the same answer. Don't just be grateful for your job and for your family and for the things that are in your life. Be creative. Look back on the day and say, well, how can I be even more grateful than I was when I woke up? And as a bonus, a little exercise, and give it a try now while you're listening. Text a thank you to someone right now. Takes a minute or two. Just thank them for something. Thank them for their support. Thank them for being a friend. Thank them for being a family member. Thank them for, did they help you do something? Thank a coworker for supporting you in a project. Thank someone. Takes what, 1 to 2 minutes? Especially if they're in your contacts. Let's utilize these smart tools that we have in front of us called smartphones. Let's utilize those for good. Let's convert smart phones into good phones. This is your foundation of gratitude. Did you thank someone? Great. W in grow is win and repeat. Integration. This is the pillar of integration. How will you track and celebrate progress? There's several ways to do it. One of the things I enjoy, and it's part of the gratitude spreadsheet, I'm a huge fan of spreadsheets. I'm not going to apologize for it. I think they're amazing. And there's so many internal tools that allow spreadsheets to interact that I find them so beneficial, especially for things like this. For instance, when you're putting down the 3 things you're grateful for, you can set up the spreadsheet to not allow you to have repeats. You can set up the spreadsheet like I have, where I put certain notations that something great has happened in my life, a statement, maybe a good thought, maybe something I'm excited about. Maybe it's a trip, where I'm traveling to, who I met. Something that is a little bit more than just a gratitude thing, like grateful for a sunny day, grateful for a hot cup of coffee, grateful for the opportunity to speak, grateful for a satisfied client. If there's something a little bit beyond that extent, I'm going to put it over into this other column and I keep track of it. Why? Because that's how I celebrate progress, is through those small wins. One of the other things that I've mentioned several times is I measure my momentum through journaling and my weekly reflection. Now, journaling and meditating each day have made a huge, profound difference in my life, and I know they will in yours. But also weekly, I reflect upon the previous day's journals. Are my statements positive? Have I spent the week being frustrated and putting my anger on paper? Then I need to stop and I need to say, okay, it's time to be more reflective in a positive manner. Many times I'm just bursting with excitement and all the exciting things that I'm doing and I'm talking about, and things are going well. I also have to stop and reflect and say, can I be doing something better? Is there room for change? Is this an opportunity to slightly pivot? Because I don't like when things are just normal. I don't like when things are just continuous. I want that change. That change means growth. That change creates a new win. And I want to repeat those wins each time. And then I want to pat myself on the back and throw my hand up and say yes and celebrate. Because each time you celebrate builds that foundation. So when the next challenge comes in front of you, you're not going to look at it as another mountain. You're going to look at it as a set of steps where you take one step at a time, mind, body, soul, integration, and you walk right up the mountain. You know, one of my favorite brain hacks is that I don't allow myself to think of anything negative for too long. It almost frustrates me sometimes when I think and I'm like, why is this bothering me? Why is this why is this here? I don't like it. And many times it's standing up, it's walking out of a room, walking out of a building, just doing something different and placing a positive thought in its place. Now I'm no longer thinking the negative thought. That's alongside with my favorite body hack is just, if you're sitting down and thinking that thought, stand up. You'll immediately think of something different. If you're in a room or an environment where people are talking and it feels negative and toxic, walk out of the room, go out to the hallway, step away from the meeting. You'll change your perspective immediately. And my favorite soul hack is just being still. You know, if you're having a bad day, if things are getting complicated, if things are just getting too busy, stop, step outside, go to the park, go for a drive, go for a bike ride, do something different. If you have the freedom to do that, do it. Absolutely. Do something different. Being still allows your soul to connect. And if you want to try something even extra, take your shoes off and go outside and stand in the grass. The energy from the earth will penetrate through your feet. It's energizing. Try it. Check for glass and debris, but check. And you'll feel the vibration of the earth resonating through you and just tingling your soul. You add that to changing your mindset and getting out of the house with that physical body, even maybe stretch around a little bit with your bare foot. And what's your favorite mantra? If you want to follow what I do, it's take my shoes off. I go stand in the grass, out in the sunshine. And I say, life is happening for me, not to me. Life is happening for me, not to me. Life is happening for me, not to me. And pretty soon I start to realize what it is that's happening to me is for me, and how correctively I'm adapting to that for me to be a better me. Give it a try. Remember, the free PDF of the Grow Method chart is available at askadamlive.com. Hashtag grow with Adam. I invite you to share your daily wins on Instagram at askadamlive with hashtag grow with Adam. How can we stay consistent when life gets crazy? Is to follow these growth steps. Some of the things that we've talked about. Having been a part of so many various aspects of religion, I have found that you can spiritually grow without it. It's nice to have a little blush, if you will, a little shade of religion, whatever that may be. But you do have to have that level of spiritual contact. Mother Nature could be your religion, but you do have to have that contact. You do have to understand the basic premise that there is something out there much greater than yourself. Many folks call that religion. I call it spirituality. But you kind of need to have something like that. So let's recap. Grow. Go to the download Grow workbook at askadamlive.com/grow. Also look for our next episode that's going to be here on the YouTube channel. And quite frankly, if you've enjoyed this episode and you found value, click like or subscribe. And maybe if you didn't find value or you just feel this might not be for you, but you believe it might be good for someone you know, certainly share the link with them and allow them to become a partner here at Ask Adam Live. And allow them to always seek knowledge and to allow them to become a better them. And who knows, if it's your friend or your family member, that's going to reciprocate, and that might be pretty beneficial that your friend or family member is a better them, and they could be better to you. Remember, acceleration isn't always about pushing harder. It's about tuning smarter. Align your mind, body, and soul, and watch your life shift from first gear to full throttle. See, life is always happening for us. So let's grow together. And let's go out and make it a great day. Thanks for listening.